Our state has some incredible problems. My name is Lynn Hinderaker. I'm here to talk about that with you and talk about the trends that have shaped this state and dragged us in one direction or another. We're not really we're not realizing the dream we had way back in the early 2000s or even around 2008 or 9 or 10. My name is Lynn Hinderaker. Welcome to WowBiz Nebraska. We're going to get it on right now. Do you know how to inspire your employees? I know it sounds kind of weird, but many owners and bosses struggle with this. They're very, very capable with projecting financials and working with the salespeople and so on. But insofar as getting the troops, the employee base, really not just motivated, but inspired to go to the next level, to do something really special, or at least kind of exude excitement and confidence and some kind of a focus and commitment about the future. This is what it means, and this is what many, in fact, I would say easily the majority of business owners here in the state of Nebraska cannot do and don't know how to come at it. And I'm going to share a story with you. I'll give you an example. It's very personal, but if there were employees in my offices and so on, this is the kind of story they would want to hear. By the way, welcome to WowBiz Nebraska. I'm Lynn Hinderaker. I forgot to mention it to you earlier. Thank you so much for tuning in. We've got a lot of exciting information here I'm going to share with you, but I'm going to start right now with this focus about inspiration. And by the way, motivation is what gets other people going to do certain things, reach certain benchmarks, so on. But motivation also reflects well on the person that is challenging everybody to work hard, do better, otherwise you'll get a cut in pay, whatever. But it goes both ways. But inspiration, the word I just mentioned to you earlier as we started our show, that doesn't do that. That's not how it works. It's really for you, for the employees, for certain people in certain ways, but it doesn't have anything to do with me. That's a big step in a different direction. Now, I'm going to go back to 1956. It's a long time ago. I was a little 5-year-old boy on a farm, and my father, there'd been a big snowstorm. There were all kinds of snow, 4, 5, 6 feet, all over the farm. Down at the end of the farm, on the far edge of the farm yard, was a small little brick building and where we had chickens. And of course, we had to go down and pick eggs on a regular basis. Well, this snowstorm had whipped up so many snowdrifts and so on. The parents had kind of skipped that and they just kind of let it go for a couple days. But the snowstorm just was really horrendous and it kept on going. Finally, my mother said to my dad, why don't you take Lynn and take him with you and go all the way down to the chicken house and you can get some eggs and get some fresh air, get out of the house. And so my dad said, okay, we'll give that a shot. So he grabbed my hand, got me all bundled up, of course, with mittens and a hat and so on and so forth. And we charged out of the house and began walking through snowdrift after snowdrift to get all the way down to the edge of the farmyard and pick some eggs. And he held on to my hand really tight because he had to kind of really pull me through these snowdrifts. It was that high. We got down there and we started kind of picking eggs and so on. I'm just kind of standing there with my daddy. And we also raised turkeys in addition to raising chickens at that particular time back in the mid-50s. And we had a turkey house or a shed, and it was only, 50 yards away or so from the chicken house. And of course, the wind is swirling and so on. And my dad said, Lynn, why don't you stay here with the chickens? It'll be a little warmer in here, and I'll go out and I'll go down to the turkeys and make sure they're okay, and then I'll come right back, and you can stay right here, and that way you don't have to go out in the snow. And I said, okay, Dad, as any 5-year-old would under those circumstances. So he says, okay, I'll be right back. And he walks out the front door of the chicken house and it was really something. And so he goes somewhere down there, somewhere over there where the turkeys lived. And I stood there with the chickens. And I stood there. And of course, they're just plucking and walking around, And pretty soon I got scared. I really did. I thought perhaps he didn't make it there or didn't make it back, that he had somehow succumbed to the extreme cold and the wind and the snow drifts. And again, remember, I'm 5 years old under these circumstances. And I began to get really scared, really worried, because I thought to myself, I think he's dead. I think he got caught in the snow and he's probably frozen. He's just like frozen in a snowdrift. And what am I going to do, right? So then I had all these thoughts go through my mind. Now, this is a true story. Now, I remember every second as it unfolded. It was one of those interesting moments in my life. And it has a metaphorical application to business, by the way. So after a while, I was getting teary, and I thought, well, Daddy is dead. Daddy's gone. And I'm going to be dead soon, because there isn't any, I can't go out there, I'm stuck here. I didn't know what to do. Now, I grew up in a religious family, and they had taught me a certain prayer that they expected me to say every night before I went to bed. So there I was in kind of this wet, it wasn't manure heavy, but there was definitely some damp, a damp floor here and some straw and hay everywhere and so on. So I got down on my knees right there in the middle of all those chickens. This is a fact. And I began to pray, and I said my nighttime prayer. And as I'm saying the prayer to myself and whispering it out loud, because I'm sure this is the last prayer I'm going to utter, and it's over for me. And of course, the chickens were coming over, and they're kind of pecking me, and they didn't know what I was doing. Now I lay me down to sleep, right? And I'm going through all that process. So it's a very sad moment. And then as I'm just into it, I'm reconciling myself that I was going to be dead soon. In comes my dad. He opens the door, right? He's got snow and ice all over him, and there I am. And he sees me on my knees there in the middle of the chicken house. And he knows what I'm doing, He realizes that he probably made a mistake. He should not have probably left me there or left me there that long, whatever. And there I was, and I was kind of crying, and he came over to me and swept me up and hovered over me and gave me a hug and apologized. And, it was a very, very tender moment, obviously. But there was that feeling that I'd been rescued, that somebody had come from outside my world, and the world as I defined it at that moment, and lifted me up, right? Gave me another shot, made me feel alive again, like I've got a future and so on. I don't know I've ever been that happy, really. And you can imagine why. So in the world of business, we're going to skip way over now and use that as a metaphor, that whole process. Those snowdrifts, the wind, all of that, what that really is in our world is lack of certainty about the next client, the next customer, how much I'm going to get paid, am I going to get a bonus? Will they fire me because of that one incident last month? Or whatever, right? But all of this is like welling up around me or around all of us. We all go through this and wondering whether or not, it's over in our career or whatever it is whatever the context is. But it can be just as dangerous and just as worrisome as what I mentioned earlier with my very, very early years. So what I'm trying to say, and then of course this is the big deal, right? Who's going to come in, whether it's one person or a group of people, who's going to come and scoop me up? Who's going to come and tell me that it's going to be okay, you're fine, don't worry, we're here to make sure that you're going to succeed, you're not going to lose your job, you're going to make a lot of money, you got a great career in business, whatever it is. But it's that outside energy. It's that outside energy. And there's a message there. There's 4 words that I hear used in my mind all the time. I use them around me. People will say, hey, Lynn, And the words are, turn on the juice. I know that seems weird in these contexts, but turn on the juice is kind of like let a life force, let creativity come through you now, right? And influence everybody around you and create new energy, right? New energy, positive energy. And so people are like, it's good vibes, man. It's good vibes around this guy or this team or this department or these people over here. They're doing something, boss. Let's give them some more money and resources and so on. Very interesting, right? Very, very interesting. Turn on the juice. It's kind of it's a phrase that has to do with psychic energy, really. I guess I can't describe it any other way. It's an emotion, and it answers and addresses three words. Three words. And these three words kind of like are around, you can shape your entire career around this and your whole life around these three words. And those three words are why? Why? Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you here? Why are you in this industry? Why do you have that job? Why do you not have a job? Why? Right? The next word is be. Just be. Be who you are. Be who you want to be. Be the person you've always hoped you could become. Right? All that. That's big, right? So you start with why, you evolve into be, right? And then it's about do. Finally, when you get through all this, somebody's coming in the door, somebody's going to pull you up, somebody's going to look at you and say, why? Why haven't you launched a new product in the last 2 years? Why haven't you done some research and found out what your competitors are doing out there and how you should respond? Why haven't you stepped up and asked for a bigger, a bigger role in a new campaign? Why haven't you gone over here and grabbed some money from this budget and reallocated it over here so that you can target this competitor of yours that is weak? They're weak. You can go grab market share, make a bunch of money, have an incredible Christmas party at the end of the cycle. You know what I'm saying? Why be do? And this is the problem that I have when I'm out there as a consultant. Sometimes I talk to people and they like to talk about theories and ideas and concepts and vision and what could it be, but they don't seem to do anything. They never know enough in their minds and in their hearts. They don't know enough to do anything. And by the way, here's the problem with office furnishings industry, the whole office furnishings business. They know that the workforce is changing, remote workers, people are not coming into the office. Why am I going to buy a bunch of fancy desks and chairs if nobody comes into the office, right? So you've got to come up with a new strategy and think about it, but then you actually have to do. And this is what they are not doing. All right. Hey, this has been a good first half of the show. My name is Lynn Hinderaker. This is WowBiz Nebraska. We're talking to people all over the state of Nebraska. We're talking about the problems and the issues that they have, the common challenges that they have. I'm going to talk about that in some detail. But first, I'm going to tell you who the sponsor of this particular program or show is. It's called Nebraska Now. Now, you've heard of Nebraska if you've been watching the show before, but Nebraska Now, the word now is like kind of new. Can't help but use it, right? But here's the thing, and it's very exciting because some people want help. 67 to 71% want help. They're not happy with the strategy. They don't know anything about the economy and what should I do and stay. They don't know. So if somebody with a background, history, credibility, whatever, could help them in some way, that would be really cool. Now, if it were an ecosystem, right, that means that I will help you and you'll help me. I'll call you for 15 minutes every week. You call me for 15 weeks, and I will help you grow. I'll give you some feedback about what you're doing, vice versa. I could really use some help. That'd be great. You're strong in operations. We're strong in marketing and advertising. Great. Let's work together and form inside the state of Nebraska a new ecology of unity and consciousness and help. And let's do it around this assumption that as soon as you help somebody else, you help yourself. Right? We all have heard that before. Our parents told us that many, many years ago and so on, but we don't really think about that in business. What we think about in business is this is me, it's mine. Yeah, let me get this right here, and it's profits and share and stay away, don't know my database, and blah, 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 all that, right? That's how life is in Nebraska and elsewhere. But now, Nebraska now, that's over. That's over. Education, sharing, helping. That's right. And a modest monthly fee, by the way. And by the way, I have to tell you, one more thing as we wrap up here on Nebraska Now. Most people, especially young people, think that, we'll just do Zoom and, I don't care about anything. It's just, I'll check it out for a few minutes and, but none of those people matter to me. I don't care about them. I believe that we need to start a new revolution, and that revolution is go somewhere, meet somebody, leave the office, have a cup of coffee, listen to somebody who knows what they're doing, trade cards, make a commitment to do something with them, help them out, talk more. Come on. We cannot make it work as we do this Zoom thing. It's very helpful, it's convenient, it's efficient, but it doesn't get you where you need to go, and you know it. All right, so there we are, Nebraska Now. Don't forget it. Look it up, find it. Nebraska Now. You'll learn about it at events and different exciting interaction, educational events, and so on. You'll love it. Nebraska Now. Don't forget about it. Jump into the environment, into the interactive, conscious ecology that Nebraska desperately needs. Yes. Wow. You can tell I'm enthused about Nebraska Now. So here we are back here with WowBiz Nebraska. I'm Lynn Hinderaker, and there's so much to discuss here. I got to tell you, business is becoming more complicated. I got to tell you one thing. There's just many things, and then I'm going to go on to something else about speaking and how it needs to change, and how you would suggest that it change. But the number thing is marketing and sales, right? You go to industrial B2B offices, companies around Nebraska. There's many of them, and you talk to the boss and say, how do you get business going? How do you increase revenue and all that? And they'll say, well, we have a sales guy over there, and we have another one over here, and they do different things, but we have a sales force, and we kind of have a part-time sales manager and so on. We think we're doing the right thing there. Yeah. And I say, well, what about the marketing part, the advertising part, the events, the PR, and all that kind of stuff, so your name gets, well known? And they go, I don't know. We don't know too much about any of that. We just get out there and knock on doors, play the numbers, knock on doors, Has it been getting more difficult or easier? More difficult, honestly, more difficult. So right off the bat, I just want to say this. There's still room for selling and pushing and getting out there and knocking on doors and 50 contacts a day and all that. There is definitely room for that, but less room. Now it's really more about marketing, advertising, essays, education, all kinds of things that impress these prospects, where they go, these guys know what they're doing. Why don't we, we'll go over there. So there's a shift. There is a shift going on. Another thing they'll say is, well, so-and-so has a better reputation, or we need to build up our reputation because we're losing a little bit of business here and there, and I think maybe we need to, bolster our reputation. Let me tell you what the 7 keys, attributes. Says, well, how do you build your reputation? What are you looking for? Let me just whip them off for you. So you can kind of have these in the back of your head if you're going to go down this road, which everybody wants to, of course. First of all, number one, the ability to attract and keep people. That's number one insofar as building a reputation. Now remember, you're in Nebraska right now if you're watching this show. We have a real issue with population. We've been at 1.9 million for a long time. It went up a little bit after the pandemic and then settled down again. So we have a real issue here. We were supposed to be at 2 million by this time, but we're not even close. So the ability to attract and retain both customers and particularly employees, that's huge. Number one. Number two, my favorite subject, innovativeness. Innovativeness. So if you said out of 7 or 8 things that are important, if you want to choose the people that are the best and they're well known and well respected and so on, innovation, their ability to innovate, do new things, roll out new products, come at things differently, even their offices or where they hook up together. Maybe they're innovative. Who knows? But it's really interesting. I visited with a gentleman recently who's a very bright man himself, and we were talking about this. And he said, Lynn, you got to be careful. I said, what's that? He says, well, people say that they are interested in innovation, but they really aren't. They don't really want that. They don't want that at all. I said, yeah, because innovation is a big deal in the industry I'm in. So anyway, he goes, he says what they really want is they want to go back in their minds to where they were a year, 2, 3 years ago when they were really cranking, they were really doing great, and business has sagged a little since then, So they want you to come in there and punch it up, and kind of get business and all that up where it was 2, 3 years ago. But they don't want to innovate. They don't want to, do anything different or unique or differentiating. None of that. They just want more sales. They just want more profit. And if you go down this road with innovation, Lynn, you're asking for trouble. Because there isn't any of them. They really don't want to innovate. They really don't. And so I would, he says, I would strongly recommend that you drop that and kind of move on, emphasize other attributes and so on. Now remember, Nebraska is number 46 out of all the states. We are known in particular for a rather poor approach towards utilizing science to come up with new products and services and so on. By the way, when I talk about innovation, now I'm going to talk about Toyota for just a minute, okay? I mean, we're way off track, but let me just say that the companies like Toyota, and there are many of them, Toyota kicks out over 1,000 patents a year. 1,000 patents, 1,000 brand new products and services that are part of their vehicles and their manufacturing operation or whatever it is, right? So people go, well, maybe we should have a hamburger instead of a pork tenderloin or whatever it is. So you got to realize what you got to do is boom, boom, boom. Some of them will die. Some of them will kind of, just move along, but not really generate a lot of money. And then, there'll be 1 or 2 or 3 that are pow. They're so big that you'll have to rename your company around these products. That's how it goes when you say, we're going to be an innovator. Now, here's another reason why people don't want to innovate. Inside. They'll say, well, I run this department here and we make money. We do pretty good for the boss and so on. But if these crazy guys over here, they start innovating, and they start coming up with new ideas, somebody's got to pay them to do all this stuff, So they're going to take my budget. They're going to come in here and grab some of my money, maybe 2 or 3 of my people, and get them over here and have them work on this crazy new thing that may or may not work. And if it does work, by the way, they're going to take more of my budget and throw more money at these guys. And yeah. Meanwhile, I'll be sitting over here, not doing too much, just kind of dragging along. Maybe they'll fire me after a year or 2 of this, right? So you see what I'm getting at? It's not just whether the customer says, oh, we want to buy these guys. These guys are unique. I want to work with these guys, right? It's not just that. It's the internal resources. Oh my God, we're back on the innovation train and we got to go down this direction and it didn't work that time and they're gonna kill me if I don't jump on board with it. And some of my people already want to be on the committee and ay. Now you know the problem Nebraska has right there. We're dragging our feet on innovation, although I've been told otherwise on certain things, but I won't go down that road yet. And there's all these complicated considerations that tear the state and every one of the 45,000 businesses in the state of Nebraska, rips them away from the opportunity to be an outstanding state, not just a good, solid state, not a good state. People like to go and have a family and everything's fine, but we want people coming, we want people coming right into our state. We're not getting that done. Now listen, I'm not going to be able to give you all these qualities, but I'll whip them off briefly. Environmental responsibility, very important. We know about that. Use of corporate assets, value as a long-term investment. If you're going to invest in the company, that's part of their reputation. Here's a good one, quality of management. Oh my gosh, I'm surprised that's now at the very top. And then finally, very importantly, is quality of products and services. So innovation, quality of services, and the ability to attract people, the ability to innovate. Oh my God, it's so important. Now listen, we're going to wrap this show up here. WowBiz Nebraska. I can't wait to talk to you next week. I'm going to give you a very interesting concept about inspiration. I'm not just going to leave that topic alone because what's happening in our society, our culture, is that people are empty inside. They really are. They're kind of depressed. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know where they're going. They don't know what they stand for. They don't know what they believe. And as a result of this, they just quit randomly, and that costs you a ton of money. So the next time we get together, right here in WowBiz Nebraska, we will talk about how to deal with that and what the principles and the ideas are that revitalize their business, their community, the state of Nebraska, and revitalize the show. Anyway, thank you so much for watching me here on WowBiz Nebraska. It's been a great show. I hope I can see you again. And thank you so much for watching. And make sure that you check out Nebraska Now, an ecosystem right here in the state of Nebraska. We'll see you next time. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.